And I therefore hope that you will enjoy the presentation as I make it to us. So in my presentation, the areas of forecasting is focused. Examples of forecasting, importance of forecasting. What about the financial forecasting? What are the common features to all forecasts? And elements of a good forecast, what do they look like? The basic steps that one can take if you want to do forecasting, and what are some of the models in forecasting. So as you can see, forecasting has a long list of um, uh, objectives. There's also an aspect of forecasting and supply chain. There is the relationship between the two. Forecasting in supply chain management, how do we handle that? And how do we approach forecasting? What are some of the qualitative techniques in forecasting? So there's a lot that we can discuss, but we'll see to squeeze most of the issues within the time that we're being given. So moving on, let's start by a quote by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu once said, "Those who have knowledge don't predict. Those who predict don't have knowledge." In other words, because we don't know what will happen tomorrow, and therefore it is always important for us to plan and predict on what should life look like tomorrow. Otherwise, if you close our eyes and just live without imagining what we want to happen tomorrow, then we are bound to fail. That's why Lao Tzu said, those who have knowledge don't predict, because they already know. They already have the knowledge about what will happen tomorrow or in the future. But it is always important that those of us who don't have the knowledge.
Do you have a presentation file for set screen? Pardon, hello? Hello, sir?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, madam?
Yeah, yes.
Can you can hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, may I
Okay.
asking, do you have a presentation file for share screen?
Unfortunately, I can't hear you clearly from here. So I'll proceed with the presentation. Can I proceed?
Yeah. Yeah, sir.
Okay. All right. So I already apologized for the notes that uh, because of the poor internet today, I'm having difficulties to touch them. But when I succeed, I'll let you know and I'll attach the notes. So in the first place, let's see what we can manage to do with our presentation. So, but I'll make efforts to share the notes as well. Right, right. So I was just saying that forecasting helps us to predict what will happen tomorrow or in the future. Forecasting involves making predictions about the future. Forecasts are often predicted on historical data. So, for example, if you have poor rainfall this year and next year and the other year for 3 years, then you can predict your agricultural activities for the subsequent years in the future. That maybe you need to focus on irrigation or other low-cost agricultural activities that will help you to produce more crops in for your people. So because of the historical data, then you can be assisted. But not only that, forecasting, it is the process of making predictions based on the past as well as the present. Later, this can be compared or resolved against what happens in the future. For example, a company might estimate their revenue in the next 1 year. Then they will compare it against the actual results. A company might estimate that maybe we will make $100 profit next year. But when it gets to next year, they might find themselves only making $50 instead of $100. So forecasting is still helpful because it gives one a picture of where they are going. Right. So in operations management, forecasting can help to plan the production of goods and services in advance. For example, if you're providing hotel services, food and accommodation, and maybe 100 people have booked your hotel for accommodation and food, forecasting will help you to plan well on how much food do you need to prepare to spare for 100 booked your place at the hotel. So by using predictive analytics, businesses can save resources and reduce expenses. Because if you don't predict or you don't forecast, you may end up preparing more food than the number of people. Or in that case, then you will waste your food and resources. Or you might end up preparing less food. In that case, you will have wasted your time because the food is not adequate for everybody. So forecasting helps businesses to save the resources. Um, so you can use forecasts to make planning decisions about customer orders. What are the orders that the customers are going to present? Of goods, capacity building, capacity requirements, the equipment that okay. Can I proceed, Madam?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So some business uh, Forecasting examples could include determining the feasibility of facing in competition, the possibility of creating demand who will be interested in products that we are producing or in the services that we are providing. And then you determine the feasibility of facing existing competition. So who are our competitors? Next year, who will be our competitors? And how long are they from where we are? And so that will help you to plan ahead. It also helps you to estimate the cost of recurring monthly bills. So how much am I required to pay for electricity bills next month? Or how much am I required to pay for my water bill next month? So forecasting helps you to estimate the cost of recurring monthly bills. And therefore, when you are doing a budget, you'll be guided like that on average, my monthly 12 months, and the reality will not be too far from what you predicted. You can also predict future sales volumes based on past sales information, efficient allocation of resources. For example, during Christmas time, in my country, we celebrate, excuse me, we celebrate the, we, we commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ as the savior of the world, saving the world from the sins of the world. So during Christmas time, not just in my country, but all over the world, with a lot of groceries and items like rice, beef, chicken, and wheat flour, things like that, because they are predicting that most everybody, if you are living in a Christian country, most of the Christians celebrate or commemorate the birth of the Savior. And because of that, the mission from the previous year will guide you on how therefore you allocate your resources. Forecasting is important because it allows your company to become proactive in directing its future. By aggregating and analyzing past data, the predictions can be made about future trends. Yeah. So, sorry, there was one hiccup that disturbed me. So, the uh, forecasting allows your company to become proactive in directing its future. So by aggregating and analyzing past data, predictions can be made about future trends and changes. There's also Peter Bernstein who said, forecasts create the marriage that the future is knowable. So forecasting helps you to know what will happen in the future. Now, let's talk about one of the popular terms in forecasting, specifically termed as financial forecasts or financial forecasting are an essential part of business planning, budgeting, operations, and funding. So you focus on the the business planning, the budget, the operations and funding. And focus enables stakeholders to make better choices to inform on financial and operational decisions based on current market conditions and how they may look in the future. Right. Financial forecasting will allow you to make financial decisions, such as whether to fund a capital project or undertake a staffing increase or seek funding. It will uh, as an estimate of the future. Financial outcome for a company is an integral part of the annual budget. So it is always important to so it will also serve as an estimate of future financial outcome for a company, and it's integral part of the financial budgeting process of the company each and every year. That's financial forecasting. So to make financial decisions, such as whether to fund the capital project, you'll be assisted through financial forecasting. It's very close to the budgeting process. The insights gained from this will be crucial moving forward. And we hope that the, uh, the companies will be assisted uh, through the predictions that are made in their budgets uh, through financial forecasting. And because the companies took time to scrutinize their future against their budget, they will be properly guided. And when they are properly guided, they will therefore be willing to spend according to their budget rather than just spending without proper budgets. Sometimes it is tempting to spend without properly considering uh, what the budget say. So in many cases, um, the companies will be guided when they are uh, being following their budget without necessarily just spending their money anyhow, and that will put them into problems. So that is about focusing on the financial uh, forecast. So Novita, at this time, can you check your WhatsApp? I have sent the notes, so maybe you can beam them from that side so that people can follow the notes as well. Novita? Novita, are you hearing me? Okay. All right, Novita, if you are hearing me, I can check your WhatsApp. I sent you the notes, so you can beam them from that side so that people can see the notes and walk along with me. Right. Okay, so I'll proceed. Yes, so thanks very much. So you can scroll down the slides um, up to slide number 15 or so. I think it's number 12. Slide number 12. So you can scroll down up to slide number 12. Yes, yes. The previous one before common. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I think it's closer to that. So maybe the next one. The next one. The next one, Novita? Yes, that's one. Oh no, no. You went back. You went far. Okay. So we can talk about the common features now. The common features to all focus. What are some of the common features to all focus? Some of the important features or characteristics of forecasting are as follows. Forecasting is strictly concerning the future events only. So you are looking into the future, not the history, but the future. It analyzes the probability of a future event or transaction occurring or happening and present. So when you are doing a forecasting, what will happen in case it will happen? In case my transport will fail me on the way, what will happen? In case the customers will not come as I expected, what will happen? So those are some of the problems, and that will guide you. That's some of the questions that will guide you. So a good forecast should be simple to understand and provide information relevant to production. Next, uh, yes, so uh, set up a perfect process. For example, you need to get 4 things details of the future. You need where and when, what time, and things like that. So you need the details for you to be able to predict well about it. Secondly, temporality, the state of existing within or having some relationship with time. So that's about whether this is temporary or it will continue, and it has to do with some relationship with time. And then the metrics, these are the measures in terms of quantity. You also should pay attention to the quantitative measures that will help you to track the record and the performance of production. And then finally, the process. That are leading us to all focus in order to set a next. Yes, yes. Next slide. Next slide. The slide is not changing on my screen here. So I wait for the slide to change so we can proceed. So is it Novita? Is it Novita changing the slides or somebody else? Okay, so elements of a good forecast is our next level of discussion. So a good forecast has to look into time. It should be timely. In other words, you should do it in good time. You shouldn't regret that you delayed in forecasting. So it should be timely, should be accurate. You should examine all the metrics, all the granularity, and all the factors around it, as we say. It should be a reliable information about, because you don't want to regret that you are underestimated certain factors. Uh, and then the focus should also be able to be expressed in meaningful units. Are you talking in terms of kilograms? Are you talking in terms of kilometers, in terms of mileage or distance? Are you talking in terms of certain unit measures of space or cartons or for packages? So the focus should be meaningful in units, and the focus should be user friendly also. It shouldn't be complicated that the users are struggling to use them. Right. Next slide, please. All right. So the elements continue. The focus should be timely. This is just an explanation of what I already featured in the previous slide. So the focus should be timely. Give it enough time. It should be accurate. Should be reliable, and it should be presented in correct units, and it should be simple to understand and to use. So these are the elements of a good forecasting. Next. So what are some of the basic steps in forecasting? Step number one is to define a problem. So you define a problem. For example, we did not have adequate rainfall this year, or we did not have a good number of customers who came to buy our products, or we did not enroll a good number of students this year. What was our problem? So you should carefully understand problems in order to bring about solutions in next year. All right. So then step number two. Next, after you have defined the problem, then you gather information. So there are always at least two kinds of information required. One is statistical data, and then the other one is accumulated expertise of the people who collect the data and use the forecast. So the statistical data will guide you in terms of whether you did well or you did less this year. That resulted into certain phenomenon of your situation. So gathering information. First of all, you define the problem. What is it that you are focusing on? And then you gather information that should provide you with statistical information. Next, please. Right. So the basic step number three is to analyze the data. So are there consistent patterns? Is there a significant trend? Is seasonality important? Is this happening because of a season? Maybe we are in the rainy season, or we are in winter, or we are in summer. Is there evidence of the presence of business cycles? Are there any outliers in the data that need to be explained? So you're trying to analyze the data in that case. So those are some of the basic steps. Step number three, preliminary analysis of the data that you collected, the information that you collected. Next, please. Step number four is about choosing and fitting models. And the best model to use depends on the availability of historical data, the strength of relationships between the forecast variable and any explanatory variables, and the way in which the forecasts are used. So you choose and fit the models. When you have collected data, then you look at the models which are fitting into the data that you used, depending on the ability of the strength and the relationship between forecast, if you are relating to poor agricultural because of the mismatch with the season. So there might be a mismatch with the season. You remember we said that at Christmas time, there's a lot of sales on groceries because everybody is excited and they would like to enjoy Christmas season. So if you did that in winter, if you brought the Christmas activities in winter, then there's a mismatch because in winter people would like to wear warm clothing. So the way you model based on the historical data, the strength and the relationship between the focus, the variables, the explanatory of the explanation of the variables also matter. Okay, the next step is step number 5, where we are talking of using and evaluating a forecasting model. So once a model has been selected and its parameters estimated, the model is used to make forecasts. The performance of the model can only be properly evaluated after the data for the forecast period have become available. So these are the basic steps in forecasting that you can do to help you to do a reasonable and helpful forecast. Next. So the next slide is now beginning to appreciate the models. What are the forecasting models? Forecasting models are one of the many tools businesses use to predict outcomes regarding sales, supply and demand, consumer behavior, and more. These models are especially beneficial in fields of sales and marketing, qualitative techniques, time series, analysis and projection, and causal models. So these are, you can, in other words, you can model your forecast based on qualitative techniques or time series or analysis and projection and causal models. So supply chain and forecasting, they go hand in hand. Supply chain and forecasting. Supply chain forecasting is looking at the past data about product demand to help you to make business decisions around planning, budgeting, and stocking your inventory. It can help you to answer or helps your business from experiencing a loss, especially during the holidays. And supply chain forecasting refers to the process of predicting demand and supply or the pricing for the product or a range of products in a particular industry. And how do you manage supply chain and forecasting? In supply chain management, forecasting is the act of predicting demand, supply, and pricing of your commodities. And so forecasting involves investigating the competitive letting supplier predict the future of an industry. You can move the slides, please. Another one. Go to the supply chain management. Go to the supply chain management. We have already covered this one. Okay. Next one, please. Next one. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right, that one. So forecasting in supply chain management, there is first of all planning processes. This is where you schedule and plan firstly to improve your forecasting. You pay attention to the past and present demand of your product. And this one allows you, your supply chain, to stay on top of the issues. And secondly, the seasonal variations in demand. We already gave an example of the Christmas time. So that is the seasonal changes. But also you predict product demand. You predict product demand. What are the products that people will demand during a particular season next year? Customer satisfaction. Are these products going to please our customers? And so we are looking at all those. And then the next slide, number forecasting in supply chain management, number 5, says reduce safety stocks. By definition, safety stock is the excess stock that is kept around as a safety net. So sometimes you put a buffer zone, a buffer supply of your products. Those are the safety stock, the safety net. Just in case that we run out of some of our products, we need to have a buffer zone where we can tap from. So sometimes these are overestimated, and therefore the business resources are held instead of flourishing. So when you do good management in supply chain and forecasting, then you reduce the safety stock. You also reduce on inventory stock outs when it comes to just in time. You know, there are certain goods that you don't need to put into your inventory or your stores because you are trying to save space. In trying to save space, you release them just on time, and therefore you save your space and your time. So you reduce. So that's how good management of forecasting in supply chain applies well. But not only that, number 7, we also improve on shipping. Being able to predict the demand for certain products will allow. Can you move to the next slide, please? Next slide. Yes. So being able to predict the demand for a certain product will allow supply chain managers time to ensure that enough workers are present to ship certain amount of products. So you plan properly your shipping and you improve on the pricing. Prices what attract your customers. So when you improve on pricing, you benefit your customers, but also your business, you make a good profit. Right. So we are about to finish. Let's run quickly. There are two, in terms of the approaches to forecasting, there are only two predominant approaches. First one is qualitative approach, which looks at the quality aspect, but the other one is quantitative approach or analysis. Next slide, please. Next slide. Right, so the qualitative approach versus the quantitative. The qualitative is focusing on the quality of the products, the quality such as experience, instinct, emotions, while the quantitative analysis relies heavily on mathematics, historical data, and casual variables. So in the interest of saving your time, we can move on to the casual models. And then the casual models talk about when historical data is available and enough, it provides guidance and direction to help you to focus better. And one of the challenging areas in forecasting is forecasting in the service sector. So forecasting in the service sector presents some unusual challenges. A major technique in the retail sector is tracking demand by maintaining good short-term records. For instance, a barber shop catering to men expects peak flows on Fridays and Saturdays. Indeed, most barber shops are closed on Sundays and Mondays, and many call in extra help on Fridays. So in the service sector, when you think in terms of the production sector and service sector, so the service sector is where we are providing a service, not a product. So in the service sector, sometimes you can face problems to predict how many customers will patronize your business, because you don't know how many people come and buy my sugar today, to come and buy my tomato today. Simply provide it. Or if you are running in your restaurant, because you don't know how many people today. So when you scroll down to service sector, right? Um, that's the challenge. So probabilistic forecasting assumes that there isn't a single future, rather multiple different futures. So making it a useful tool for the services industry where the numerous variables are at play can create a range of different outcomes. So you address that problem, the problems, the challenges in the service sector. Uh, what uh, what 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 predictions could be uh, the best for you? Yeah. So forecasting deferred income. Yeah, deferred income is another important aspect of the service sector, and it can be a challenge to forecast. This difficulty arises as cash received from an item in advance recognized until the goods services have been sent and provided to. So deferred income is the money that we receive uh, ahead of delivering the goods or services. So if you come to me and pay me for a service which I'm going to deliver next month, that's deferred income. So it becomes difficult sometimes to deliver. Until that point, the cash received will be recorded as liability on the balance sheet. So normally, when I receive cash without delivering the goods immediately, then in the financial books, it becomes a challenge on how are you going to record in terms of cash received versus the goods delivered. So that one becomes a little bit of a challenge. And so without wasting much of your time, this is how you think about forecasting in the service industry. And one of the quotes uh, from Charlie Munger says, "I have never been able to predict accurately. I don't make money predicting accurately. We just tend to get into good business and stay there. So don't wait until you are perfect in predicting. You can start now. You can try to predict for your business. And therefore, it is possible for all of us to try to forecast what we want to look like in the near future, focusing on several factors and models that we have discussed. So this is uh, my last slide talks about how to create a sales forecast. So in case you want to create a sales forecast, you can list out the goods and services which you sell. You can estimate how much of each of you expect to sell. You can define the unit price for each goods or service. You can multiply the number of sold items by the price and then determine how much it will cost to produce and sell each good. So for example, if I'm mangoes next month, so I need to determine the mango and the number of mangoes which I'm going to sell and see how much money I'm going to make minus the capital income that I pumped in. And the rest will be my profit. So that's a simple approach on how you can forecast on sales. So this is where we end our presentation today. And because of the poor network and connectivity, I apologize that we haven't gone a smooth flow of the slides as it was required. But all the same, I shared the notes with Novita to also be able to share with you so that you can go through the notes on your own time. Right. Not sure that we'll be able to take questions because we have run very deep into time now. Over to you, Novita.
Yes.
We have finished.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you so much for Dr. Yobbe. Yeah, participant, if you have any question for the speaker, please add them to the chat or you can raise your hand. Yeah, we will wait 1 until 2 minutes session for waiting student waiting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if you asked the question or because I can't hear properly your words from your side. If you ask the question, maybe you can type it on the screen so I can see it.
Yeah, we have first question already right in the room chat.
Can you send the question again on the screen?
Wait just a moment. Wait, yeah, this is visible in your chat, or no?
Yeah, I'm able to see the question now. In operations management, accurate forecasting is crucial for efficient resource allocation and meeting customer demands. Can you discuss the key differences between qualitative and quantitative forecasting methods and provide examples and scenarios where uh, each method might be more appropriate? Uh, Additionally, how can businesses mitigate risks? Um, so I, first of all, the qualitative and quantitative. The qualitative side focuses on the other software. Let me take you to that slide in the first place. Okay, just a minute. Um, Okay. So a qualitative approach uses factors such as an experience, instinct, and emotions, while the quantitative analysis relies heavily on mathematics, historical data, and causal variables. So, for example, in the qualitative approach, you use factors such as experience. Think about the fisherman. When the fishermen go into the ocean or the sea, they look at the clouds in the sky. They can see the clouds, and then they will predict that it is going to rain in the next 3 hours or 4 hours. And so in their instinct, they have to be careful whether they should continue with their fishing or they have to run away to the shore. So that's a qualitative approach using the factors from their experience, because they have experienced that kind of phenomenon previously. Uh, they are able to see the clouds and they predict it is going to be raining soon. While the quantitative data analysis is focusing very much on the mathematical historical data. For example, for people to know that we are in the winter season, they know that winter always starts in this particular month in our year, in our country. And therefore they can plan the activities that are associated with winter. Even for those countries that produce agriculture products, they know which month the rains expected, so that they can prepare the agricultural inputs and prepare for farming. But they base their planning on mathematics, because they specifically know the amount of rain, the time frame, and the historical data on the same variables that happened in the previous years. So that's what I would say about the difference between qualitative and quantitative forecasting methods. Just to give. And uh, and the businesses can avoid taking a risk on, for example, if a fisherman sees the clouds in the sky, then they can avoid the risk of burning their fuel to run their boats when they know it is going to rain very soon, or they will avoid wasting their time in that case. Then they can avoid the risk in terms of time and resources. Now, Kenan also asked a question: in operations management, accurate forecasting is crucial for efficient resource allocation and meeting customer demands. Can you explain quantitative forecasting methods and provide examples and scenarios where I think this is what I just said, and I think that's the question I answered. That also came from Abdul. Thank you very much. Another question?
Yeah, we have another question again, already read in the chat.
I can't see the other question, but I think I have answered both questions. They were somehow related. Both questions from Abdul and Kenan.
Yes, I think
I don't know
we
if
don't
I don't know if there is any other question, Madam.
It's okay, it's a question. I think we
All
do
right.
have another question again from student teacher, just two questions. So, before I proceed, so for our participant, please open your camera. I will take a picture on the count of three. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for your participation. Finally, we come to the end of visiting lecture today. We would like to thank you for Dr. Yobbe for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial for all participants. At least we hope to our collaboration in the future with DMI ST John the Baptist University Malawi. The physical lecture for today and here. We will see you soon. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you for Dr. Yobbe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your patience as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.